Welcome back to Future Vision Talks. I'm Jordan. In part one, we dissected the grand, world-changing visions laid out at the U.S. Saudi Forum. Humanoid robots creating unprecedented abundance, AI factories as the new refineries of the intelligence age, and the shocking economic inevitability of moving our most powerful AI into space. We explored a future where work is optional and currency itself may become obsolete. But every visionary prediction must face the harsh light of financial reality and critical scrutiny. In this second part of our comprehensive analysis, we move from the what to the so what. We will tackle the single most pressing question for every investor today. Are we in a catastrophic AI bubble? We will deconstruct Jensen Huang's masterful answer, examine the hidden financial mechanics of the new U.S. Saudi alliance, and confront the profound risks and ethical dilemmas that this high-tech future inevitably brings. This is where we separate the sustainable transformation from the speculative hype.
Let's begin with the moment of pure financial theater. As the forum was concluding, the moderator, His Excellency Abdullah El-Swaha, turned to Jensen Huang with a delicate but direct question. He acknowledged NVIDIA's upcoming earnings call and then asked, on behalf of everyone watching, are we going to have an AI bubble? The question hangs in the air. NVIDIA's valuation, and indeed the valuation of the entire tech sector, feels like it's riding on this single premise. A bubble implies a speculative frenzy detached from underlying value, destined to pop, wiping out trillions in wealth. Jensen Huang's response was not a simple yes or no. It was a breathtaking, first principles dismantling of the entire modern computing landscape, designed to reframe the entire conversation. He didn't just defend the AI boom, he argued that we are witnessing the most significant platform shift in the history of computing, and that the current investment is not only justified, but necessary to keep up with foundational demand. Huang laid out three distinct seismic shifts happening simultaneously. To understand his argument, we need to break down each one with the financial implications they carry.
For decades, the tech industry ran on the fuel of Moore's Law, the prediction that the number of transistors on a microchip would double about every 2 years, making computers exponentially faster and cheaper over time. This was a law of physics that became a law of economics for Silicon Valley. But as Huang has been warning for years, Moore's Law has run its course. The exponential gains have flattened. We can no longer rely on general-purpose CPUs, the brains of every standard computer, to get significantly faster and cheaper each year. Huang provided a stunning, concrete statistic to prove this shift is already complete at the highest levels of computation. He said, "I was just at supercomputing 6 years ago. CPUs were 90% of the world's supercomputers, top 500 supercomputers 6 years ago. This year, less than 15%. Let that sink in. In just 6 years, the architecture of the world's most powerful computers flipped from being 90% CPU-based to 90% GPU-based, or what Huang calls accelerated computing. This is not a minor technical detail. It is a multi-trillion-dollar pivot. It means that the entire global infrastructure of high-performance computing, the systems used for climate modeling, drug discovery, financial modeling, and now AI, is being forcibly ripped out and replaced. The economic opportunity isn't just in selling AI chips for chatbots. It's in the generational upgrade of the entire world's digital backbone. From a financial perspective, this is akin to the shift from horse-drawn carriages to automobiles. You weren't just building a faster horse, you were building an entirely new industry of cars, roads, gas stations, and mechanics. The companies that provide the new engines, the accelerated computing platforms, are not in a bubble. They are the foundational picks and shovels providers for the next half-century. The demand Huang is describing is not speculative, it is structural and urgent. Now, let's layer on the second shift. Huang identified what he called the most important application of the last 15 years, recommender systems. He called them the engine of the internet. What does that mean? Every time you scroll through your social media feed, watch a video on YouTube, see a product recommended on Amazon, or choose a movie on Netflix, you are interacting with a massive, incredibly complex recommender system. These systems analyze petabytes of data on your behavior and the behavior of millions of others to predict what you want to see next. This is how these multi-trillion-dollar companies capture and hold your attention, which they then monetize through advertising and subscriptions.
For over a decade, these recommender systems have been largely powered by traditional CPUs and older computing models. But Huang revealed that these systems are now, en masse, transitioning to run on generative AI models on GPUs. Why? Because generative AI is far more powerful. Instead of just retrieving a pre-ranked list of videos, a generative model can create a personalized, dynamic explanation for why you might like something, or even generate a custom preview. This shift is not about a new, flashy product like ChatGPT. It's about overhauling the core, money-making engine of the biggest companies on Earth. The financial imperative here is defensive. If Company A doesn't make this multi-billion-dollar investment, and Company B does, Company B will have a decisively better, more engaging product, and will win the market. This is what Huang meant when he said many of the internet companies can build enormous number of GPU supercomputers just doing that. The demand from this shift alone could absorb a huge portion of the world's AI chip supply for years. Only on top of these first two shifts do we find the third and most visible one, agentic AI. This is the Grok, the ChatGPT, the Claude, the Gemini. These are the AI models that we converse with, that write our emails and that draft our code. They are the charismatic front end of the AI revolution. But from a financial and infrastructural standpoint, Huang argues they're the smallest of the three demand drivers. His logical conclusion is devastating to the bubble argument. He states that if you consider the sheer volume of computation needed to rebuild the world's computing infrastructure, shift 1, and to repower the core engines of the entire internet economy, shift 2, then the compute left over for the revolutionary agentic AIs is substantially less than you thought, and all of it justified.
In essence, his argument is that the bubble narrative is a misunderstanding of scale. The market is not valuing NVIDIA and AI based solely on the potential of chatbots. It is valuing them based on their role in the most fundamental platform transition since the advent of the internet itself. The demand is not speculative. It is a tidal wave of pent-up, necessary investment that has already begun. For an investor, this means looking beyond the hype of the latest AI app and focusing on the companies building the unsexy, essential infrastructure, the picks and shovels that enable this entire new world. This infrastructure, as we discussed in Part 1, is being built through unprecedented geopolitical partnerships. Let's now pull back the curtain on the financial mechanics of the U.S. Saudi alliance announced at this forum. This is not just a handshake. It's a blueprint for a new form of state-backed scale capitalism. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, through its Sovereign Wealth Fund and its Vision 2030, is executing a strategy of capital deployment that is the envy of the world. They are not just investing in companies, they are co-creating the market. The announcement with XIA is a perfect case study. They aren't just giving Elon Musk a check, they are providing the land, the energy, and the political cover to build a 500-megawatt AI data center. They are becoming a foundational partner in the infrastructure itself. From a financial perspective, this is a brilliant move. Instead of just buying publicly traded stock and hoping it goes up, Saudi Arabia is using its capital to directly stimulate the creation of new physical assets within its borders. This does several things simultaneously.
It directly moves the kingdom from an oil-based to a digital-based GDP. By hosting the AI factories, they capture the jobs, the technical expertise, and the secondary industries that will inevitably sprout up around them. In the intelligence age, data and compute are the new oil. By positioning itself as a global hub for AI inference and training, Saudi Arabia ensures its continued geopolitical relevance long after the era of fossil fuels. For the United States, this partnership provides scale and capital that is difficult to muster domestically for such massive, long-term infrastructure projects. It's a symbiotic relationship. American innovation in IP meets Saudi capital and strategic ambition. The financial takeaway is that the companies that can align themselves with these nation-state-level partnerships will have a colossal advantage in terms of capital, scale, and political stability. The risk, of course, is becoming overly reliant on the strategic goals of a foreign government. And this brings us to the final and most critical part of our analysis, the risks. We must critically analyze the dark side of this utopian vision. The future Musk and Huang describe is not preordained to be benevolent, and the transition will not be smooth. First, the geopolitical risk. If the most powerful AI compute is eventually housed in space, who governs it? The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 is vague and outdated. If a corporation like SpaceX owns a constellation of AI satellites that form the most powerful economic and military intelligence tool in history, what stops that from becoming the ultimate strategic high ground? We would be moving from a world of nuclear deterrence to a world of AI deterrence controlled by private entities. The potential for a new, unregulated arms race is terrifyingly high.
Second, the inequality risk. The transition period that Jensen Huang describes, where jobs are transformed rather than eliminated, assumes a workforce that is agile, educated, and able to retrain. But what about the 50-year-old truck driver when automated vehicles become ubiquitous? Or the factory worker whose plant is fully roboticized? The gap between the AI-augmented knowledge worker and the displaced laborer could grow into a chasm, leading to social unrest unlike anything we've seen. Musk's promise of a post-scarcity utopia is a long-term outcome, but the political and social pain will be felt in the short term. A government's response to this displacement, through policies like universal basic income, will become one of the most critical economic questions of the next 2 decades. Third, the energy and environmental paradox. While space-based AI solves the energy problem for computation, the launch industry itself is incredibly resource-intensive. The carbon cost of building and launching thousands of rockets to deploy these AI constellations is not zero. Furthermore, the push for AI on Earth is already straining power grids, potentially slowing the transition to green energy as politicians are forced to choose between powering homes or powering data centers. This could create a perverse situation where the technology meant to solve our biggest problems, like climate change, inadvertently exacerbates it in the short run by monopolizing clean energy sources. Finally, there is the existential risk. Both Musk and Huang alluded to this. Musk prefaced his space AI comments with a crucial caveat: if civilization continues, which it probably will. He noted that civilizations have life cycles, warning against complacency. The development of artificial general intelligence, AGI, an AI that can outperform humans in any cognitive task, is the single greatest unknown in human history. Deploying it on orbital platforms outside the easy reach of any regulation or shutdown mechanism is a risk of incalculable proportions. The very power that could eliminate poverty could also, if misaligned with human values, eliminate humanity's control over its own destiny. This is the complete picture. The forum was not just a celebration of technology. It was a glimpse into a future of breathtaking potential and profound peril. The predictions from Elon Musk and Jensen Huang are not mere speculation. They are a reflection of the capital, the engineering, and the strategic will that is already being deployed.
The path forward requires not just awe, but vigilance. It requires investors to be discerning, looking past hype to foundational value. It requires policymakers to be proactive, crafting regulations that foster innovation while protecting human dignity and security. And it requires all of us, as a global society, to engage in the conversation about what kind of future we want to build. The intelligence age is here. The alliance has been signed. The factories are being built. The question is no longer if, but how, and for whose benefit.
I'm Jordan. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into the future on Future Vision Talks. If this analysis has provided you with value, with a clearer understanding of the forces shaping our world, then the most powerful thing you can do is to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our ongoing investigations into the trends that will define your financial future. Until next time, look beyond the headlines, question the assumptions, and build your own future vision.